Well, welcome to Navigating to Success. I am certified focal point business and executive coach Jeff Carlton, and I'm pleased to be joined by Anders Jones, the CEO of Facet, a really interesting company doing things a little bit different. So, Anders, welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Great to be here.
So, tell us about Facet. Tell us what you do.
So we are a financial services or financial technology company, and we do um, financial advice and financial planning on a subscription basis. So a little bit different than kind of the traditional industry model of charging based on assets or charging a commission based on a product that they sell you. We are big believers in sort of like full transparency and knowing what you're paying for, knowing exactly what you're getting. And we tend to focus on folks that, we sort of call like the mass affluent, but, folks that aren't the millionaires of the world, that don't have the sort of investable asset level that really piques the interest of a traditional financial advisor. And our value prop is pretty straightforward. You work with us, we match you with a dedicated certified financial planner. So it's like the highest level of certification in the financial advice world. We look at everything in your life that money touches. So yeah, we'll manage your money for you. Yes, we'll talk to you about retirement, but we'll talk to you about everything from your cash flow to paying down your debt to understanding the trade-offs between saving for your kids' college education or taking care of your aging parents. There's I think 44 specific different like major life milestones that we help our members with. And so, we really think the future of financial advice is sort of this holistic look at your financial situation and really helping you sort of navigate the ins and outs of today, not just 40 years from now when you're retired. And yeah,
Right.
like I said, do it all on a subscription basis. So it's flat fee, transparent, and affordable.
So, what kind of income range is your clientele? I mean, who are your ideal clients?
Yeah, I mean it varies a little bit. Our sort of, number one segment are what we call like young families. So, figure mid to late 30s through, mid to late 40s. Um, Generally, couple $100,000 of income sort of, between in the household, and up potentially, but that's sort of the range. Might have a few $100,000 in like a 401k or a retirement plan somewhere. And, from a like a life stage standpoint, they're just starting to make, like, we kind of laugh and say it's like they're starting to like adults. They're making
Right.
the big decisions around, they're getting married, they're buying their first house, they're having their first kid, and like all of these sort of, big life milestones are happening that have really big financial implications. And if you are if your financial house is in order, you have a very different outcome in over the long run than if it's not. And so that's a great place for us to get involved.
Yeah, typically after they've made a few mistakes and they're like, "Oh gosh, what did we get ourselves into?" And we need somebody to help us
Yeah.
map out a more clear future. It interesting. We'll kind of come back to that, I think. Just very briefly, how big is Facet now? Um,
From a client standpoint, we work with about 15,000 households across the US.
wow.
Yeah, we have a couple hundred, just under 200 employees. We're a totally virtual company, so I think it's like 180 employees across 42 different states. Um, and then, from a revenue standpoint, we'll probably do, somewhere in the mid 40 million range this year. So, we have some pretty good scale, and we're venture backed, so we've raised a fair amount of capital, and we really see a big opportunity to build like the next Fidelity, the next Schwab. So we're kind of swinging for the fences here in some respects.
Well, it's good to think big. If you think small, you don't put a glass ceiling on yourself, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, I love that. So you said you're 100% virtual business, and Facet was founded back in 2016. So, that's pre-COVID is what I'm getting at. So
Yeah.
you're kind of a vanguard then in doing a virtual business as opposed to come sit in my office, drink my not so great coffee, and have a not so fresh donut, and let's talk about your financial future. To uh, you broke that mold 4 years before it was a thing.
Yeah. So I think a couple ones here. One is we've always had a virtual service delivery, meaning we've never done in-person meetings with our members. We did at one point have an office in Baltimore, actually, um, pre-COVID. We were about 50-50 in office versus at home. But then when COVID hit, we were already set up to go totally virtual. So it was like, we closed our office on a Thursday, Friday, it was business as usual. And that did give us a major advantage. We grew between 2020 and 2021, we went from 2 million of ARR to 25 million in like less than 24 months. So it was like kind of a crazy growth story that we were just ready for. But
Well, Rex
yeah,
in 24 months.
yeah, there's
Wow.
that was a wild time for sure. Um, we've slowed it down a little bit since then,
That
but
reminds
yeah,
me of line of .com.
yeah, it was we were flying. What I would say is that you know, a different client segment requires a different service model. And so, yes, the virtual service delivery obviously cuts a lot of costs out of out of our business. So, we can be a lot more affordable and, pass a lot of those savings on to our members. But at the same time, if you're dealing with someone in their 30s, they really don't want to get in their car and drive to a financial advisor's office. And, I mean, that's like
No.
a half day thing. Whereas they can just hop on their phone on Zoom and have a 30-minute conversation. The other thing I'd say, another big thing that we've realized is that people don't even want meetings. They would actually much rather text or email with their advisor and answer, 80% of their questions asynchronously. And so that's a change in our service model that we've made in the last year or so is, look, we're always there to meet if you need it, but our sort of default is, well, send us a message and we can probably clear this up over email. And we found people love that.
Yeah, that's a that's a really interesting question because I've just in the last week and a half, I've done a couple workshops on communication and the importance of talking to B2B and B2C um, business people about really being able to communicate and listen.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of surprised and kind of want you to expand on that. I get the fast pace, everybody wants to communicate on their phone, but how much fidelity gets lost in not having that one-to-one communication and being able to read the people and find out why they really want to get from point A to point B.
Well, I think there's a time and a place, right? I think that, the messaging starts happening after you've had a few meetings and gotten to know each other. And so, so I am a user of our service. And, I've worked with my advisor at Facet for, you know, many years since we started the company. But I had a question about refinancing my mortgage. And, I just sent him an email, said, hey, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. And he wrote back, here's two options you should think about. And it was like, boom, done. And we didn't need to jump on the phone and schedule time or do anything like that. I mean, there's a very sort of easy, objective answer that you can put out there that, he just had the expertise that I needed to tap into. But that was also, I mean, he and I have known each other for a long time. We've had plenty of meetings and,
Okay, that's the punchline right there. The know, like, and trust has been built.
yes,
Uh,
exactly.
and so then the communication can slim down and get skinny
Yeah.
and go to that efficient text and email kind of thing. I think that's really important for new business owners or struggling business owners is that, man, you have to have that relationship established before you go to that less personal communication model.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll give you another, it's funny. There's a bit of a sort of uh, there's a lot of like sort of excitement right now, or fear, depending on how you look at it, in the financial advice world of, now that generative AI is a thing, is the financial advisor going to be replaced by AI? And, our view on this, and I mean, we're a tech company, like we have software engineers, like we're Silicon Valley, like tech company, right? But, our view on this is that there's not a world in which the human advisor doesn't have a really important role. And, there's a lot of reasons why, but I think, beyond, above all else, like you need that human to human connection and trust building and empathy building. Um, and then the AI can do everything else. It can do the financial planning. It can do all the back end work. You don't need the human to do that, but the actual one-to-one connection is incredibly important. Um, and that's, just something that we really believe in, and we're investing all of our R&D and tech development is with that sort of overarching philosophy in mind.
yeah, well, you answered my question before I asked it. The next thing I was going to ask you was about AI and innovation, and that was it. And I love the fact that um, that human connection part is incredibly, especially with money.
Yeah.
If you have some kind of a connection, you're not going to spend your money there. Um, yeah, very interesting. So tell me, how many FAs do you have?
At the moment, I think we have 42.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 42 and probably a half to 1.5 staff per FA.
Nope.
No?
No. This is where the tech comes in. So the counterpoint to the, AI replacing the financial advisor is the AI is going to replace all of the stuff that is not client facing advisor time. So the idea that you would have like a support staff, or, a paraplanner or something like that, that we don't have any of that. So the average advisor in the industry today works with about 75 clients. Ours work with 400. And we actually have sort of like higher quality metrics than a traditional advisor does. So we're not sacrificing on quality. But what we've done is we've essentially automated away all of the sort of, non-value added, very rote tasks. So, I'll give you an example. We record all of our calls, and we basically have AI write the transcript and then summarize the call notes and the follow-up. So it writes the follow-up email, it enters all of the notes in the CRM, and it suggests the next set of action items, and automatically creates any tasks that need to either happen, like an account opening task, or money movement flow or something like that. All that stuff happens within 30 seconds of the call being over. That used to be, 2-3 hours of advisor time and context switching and just all this
Sure.
sort of back end headache. And that's where I think the real tech leverage is in when you talk about the future of AI, it's doing the unsexy stuff that you actually don't really need a human to do. That I think is where the real value is going to be created.
No, I like that. It's a good model. And it's predictive, and I love the fact that you use the term non-value added. It made my Lean Six Sigma um, endorphins push.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. So to wrap up a little bit, tell me what your strategic plan is. Do you have a specific growth plan? Uh, what, how are you, where are you taking Facet in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. So I think, there's a couple ways to answer that, but I would say number one is we believe that there is a Fidelity or Schwab sized company here. There are 100 million Americans who don't have access to high quality financial planning and financial advice that really need it. Um, and just the world has not evolved in a way that has created real solutions for those folks. So there's an enormous opportunity. Um, I think for us, the way that I sort of describe it is we're following a little bit like the Uber blueprint. So we didn't talk at all about our pricing, but right now we have three pricing tiers: $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 a year. So it's not cheap. It's still a pretty considered purchase. It's way more affordable than other types of financial advice. But it's a real it's a real commitment. We're in the process of building what I would describe as like Uber X, right? So what can we do for $500, or what can we do for $1,000, that takes sort of what we've already built and creates a skinny down version of that to access an even bigger market. So it's funny, the rest of the industry likes to go up market. They focus on the high net worth, and serving richer and richer people. We're very
Right.
focused on how do we access as many people as possible, and really try and move the needle that way. So I think without giving too much away, that's our sort of blueprint over the next few years, is expanding our TAM by moving down market more than anything else.
Well, I love the model of, yeah, we'll serve the high end, but we're not going to leave the little guy behind. I appreciate that. And I think that's a sentiment that is sometimes lost in business, is everybody's worried about the middle class, but nobody's out there trying to support them. They're just trying to take their money. So
Yeah.
I appreciate where you're coming from that. Uh, that's awesome. Well, any parting shots on before we wrap it up here?
I mean, look, I think we're just super excited about what we're doing. I think, you know, the there's so much room for innovation in this industry, and frankly, it's all going to benefit the end customer, which is really why we're here. And so, if we do our job, I think we can help millions of Americans live better financial lives, and that's what we're here for.
That's a great way to close it out, because you just told us your why. You
Yeah.
just you just told us why Facet exists, and it's a great mission. So, for everybody watching, thanks for joining us on this business journey explored, and we'll see you next time on Navigating to Success. Anders, thank you.